A quiet birthday turns into chaos. A smile fades, words turn sharp. Naomi and Jacob stand face to face, two hearts once bound by love, now chained by anger. And as candles burn low on Bill's cake, secrets rise like smoke, filling the room with tension thick enough to choke on. The day starts gently, sunlight slipping through half-drawn curtains. The soft hum of morning in the air. Bill's house feels unusually calm, almost too calm, as if the walls are holding their breath. Balloons float lazily above the living room, their bright colors clashing with the heavy silence that lingers. Bill, the ever-optimistic host, is humming to himself, trying to convince the universe that today will go right. He sets the table, straightens the napkins, checks the clock again and again. It's his birthday, and he's hoping for peace, at least for one day. Naomi arrives first. Her steps are firm, but her eyes carry a story untold. She sets a wrapped box on the table, smiles politely, but her hands tremble for a moment before she hides them in her coat pockets. She's not here for drama, she tells herself, not today. But inside her mind, the storm is already building. There are things she's been wanting to say to Jacob, things that kept her awake last night, words that bite at her tongue, refusing to stay buried. Jacob walks in minutes later. The sound of his boots on the floor makes Naomi's head lift sharply. Their eyes meet. It lasts only a second, but in that second, everything unravels. The polite smiles vanish, replaced by quiet resentment, years of it. Bill, standing between them with a nervous grin, pretends not to notice. He laughs too loudly, tries to fill the silence, but both of them are miles away, trapped in the gravity of what hasn't been said. The guests trickle in. Laughter begins to echo faintly. Music hums from an old speaker. But beneath every laugh, there's a pause. A glance at Naomi, a glance at Jacob, then a quick look away. Everyone knows something's wrong. They can feel it. It's like the air is cracked. Naomi stands near the window, watching the sun slowly dip lower. Jacob is across the room, pretending to check his phone, but his reflection in the glass gives him away. His jaw is tight, his eyes restless. For a moment, time holds still. Then Bill claps his hands, his voice too cheerful. "All right, let's get this party started," he says, his smile stretching thin. Naomi turns around, her lips pressed together. She nods. Jacob forces a chuckle. The room joins in, out of politeness more than joy. The cake waits on the counter, bright candles flickering, innocent, unaware of the chaos about to unfold. Naomi takes a deep breath. Maybe, she thinks, tonight won't end badly. Maybe they can pretend long enough to make it through the evening. But the truth is, pretending never lasts. Not when the wounds are fresh, not when every word spoken feels like walking through glass. As the first song begins to play, Naomi glances once more at Jacob. He's already looking at her. No words, just silence, the kind that weighs more than noise ever could. Something between them breaks, quietly, like a thread snapping in the dark. And even before the night begins, both of them know, this party won't end in laughter. The music is soft, but the room feels loud. Glasses clink, small talk drifts like fog, and Bill keeps moving from guest to guest, trying to hold the party together with a smile that looks tired at the edges. Naomi stays near the window, tracing a line on the glass with her finger, as if she can draw a way out of this. Jacob stands by the table, looking at the cake as if it has answers. It is Bill who brings them together without meaning to. He asks them to help light the candles. Naomi reaches for the box of matches at the same time Jacob does. Their hands almost touch, both pull back as if burned. The silence between them is a door half open, and something dark slips through. Naomi doesn't raise her voice at first. She speaks like someone who has practiced this moment in her head, simple and steady. "I heard what you said last night." Jacob freezes. A guest laughs from across the room. Another song begins. But in this small circle around the cake, the world goes quiet. Jacob tries to dodge. "Tonight isn't the time." Naomi shakes her head. "There is never a good time with you. Only later. Only after her words are calm, but they carry weight. People nearby start to notice. Smiles fade, eyes drift in their direction, then away. Bill fumbles with a lighter and pretends not to hear, but the flame keeps dying in his hand. Jacob tries to control it, to make this a small thing. You're twisting it. I didn't mean it like that. Naomi's mouth tightens. Then say what you meant. Say it to my face, not to strangers. Not behind closed doors. Jacob looks around and spots two guests staring. He gives them a quick grin that asks for privacy, then turns back. Fine, he says, softer now. I said I can't trust you when you hold back the truth. The words land like stones. Naomi blinks. For a second she looks hurt, then the hurt hardens into heat. I held back because I was protecting you, she says, because I knew the truth would cut deeper than a lie. She steps closer, not to threaten, but to be heard. And you took that care and called it a crime. A slice of nervous chatter returns to the room, but it is forced and brittle, a thin cover for the tension. Someone turns the music down without being asked. Bill finds the right angle on the lighter and finally gets a steady flame. He leans forward to start the candles, but his hand shakes, and he stops, waiting for the air to calm. It doesn't. Naomi looks at Jacob like she is seeing him for the first time. You told them I keep secrets, she says. You told them I pull strings. You told them I don't care. Jacob tries to cut in, but Naomi keeps going, her voice still even. I cared so much I lost parts of myself to make us work. I bent. I stayed quiet. I smiled when it hurt. And now, on Bill's birthday, I'm done pretending. Jacob's reply is quick, sharp as C. Around the edges. You call it care. I call it control. A few people gasp. The words are simple, but they hit like a door slamming in a small room. Naomi's face changes, not with rage, but with a cold kind of relief, as if the mask is finally off. Thank you, she says. At least now you're honest. She takes a step back as if giving him room to stand by his claim. Jacob rubs the back of his neck, eyes on the floor, then up at her. You made choices for us without asking, he says. You thought you knew best. Naomi nods once. I did what I had to do to keep us from breaking. Jacob points to the space between them. We broke anyway. Bill tries to rescue the moment. He raises his voice with a shaky laugh. Okay, candles, candles, make a wish, then we eat. It should be sweet. It should be easy, but the wish stands in the air like a question no one can answer. Naomi turns to Bill, her face softening. I'm sorry, she whispers, and the apology is real, heavy with care. She looks back at Jacob. You want truth? Here it is. I didn't tell you because I was scared to lose you. I was scared that once the light hit the dark corners, you'd run. Jacob's jaw clenches. You didn't give me the choice, he says. You chose for me, and then you called it love. The room is fully watching now, even the ones pretending not to. The cake burns brighter than it should, tiny flames waving like warning flags. Naomi takes a breath that sounds like a decision. If love needs control to stay alive, it isn't love, she says. But some nights don't want saving. Naomi's phone buzzes on the table. A message lights up the screen. She glances at it and turns the screen face down. Jacob catches the move and flinches, as if the sound itself is proof. There, he says, pointing not at the phone, but at the habit. Secrets. Naomi's voice drops to a near whisper, the kind that somehow carries farther than a shout. Not secrets. Boundaries, the word hangs there, simple and hard. Jacob laughs once, short and bitter, and it sounds older than both of them. You built walls and called them safety, he says, then wondered why I felt shut out. Bill steps in at last, not to scold, but to protect what little joy is left. Please, he says, that's all. One word, full of years of friendship and the wish for a quiet night. Naomi looks at him. Jacob looks at him. The party breathes again, just a little. Naomi nods. Jacob nods. They take one step back, then another, like swimmers returning to the shallow end. For a moment, it seems possible. Bill lifts the cake, Everyone leans in, the lights dim. The song begins, off-key but warm. Then a guest, trying to be helpful, says the wrong thing at the worst time. "At least you two are finally talking," she chirps. The room freezes. Naomi's eyes cut to Jacob. Jacob's eyes cut to Naomi. Whatever peace they had built in those few seconds cracks right down the middle. Naomi speaks first, not loud, but clear enough for everyone. "Talking isn't the same as being heard," Jacob answers, just as clear. "And hearing isn't the same as being trusted." The flames on the cake flicker as if wind has found its way indoors. Bill stands very still, holding his breath along with his wish. The argument doesn't explode, it spreads. It moves through simple sentences that land like heavy steps. It shows itself in the way Naomi stops blinking, in the way Jacob stops smiling. It turns the party into a fragile thing that could fall apart with one more wrong word. And that word is coming. It is already in the room, already shaping itself in someone's mouth. The night is not over. It has only just told the truth about what it wants to be. The moment the wrong words leave someone's mouth, the room becomes still. The music stops midway through a note, the laughter dies, and the air feels thick enough to drown in. Naomi's hands are trembling, but she hides them by clutching her glass. Jacob takes a step forward, not out of anger this time, but out of desperation. The fight has turned into something raw. No longer about who's right, but about who's more broken. Naomi's voice breaks the silence first. "You think you're the only one who hurts," she says softly. "You think I wanted this." Her eyes glisten, but not from weakness, from the sting of holding too much inside for too long. "Every time I tried to fix things, you turned away. Every time I reached out, you pulled back." Her words tremble, not from rage, but exhaustion. "You made me feel like I was the problem. Like loving you was wrong," Jacob exhales sharply, running a hand through his hair. "You don't get it," he says. "You never did. You wanted everything your way. Every plan, every choice, every word had to fit what you thought was right. You call it care, but it felt like control. I stopped talking because nothing I said mattered anymore." His voice cracks halfway through, a sound that makes even the guests look away. No one wants to see someone breaking in real time. Bill stands between them, still holding the cake, its candles flickering low. The wax drips down onto his fingers, but he doesn't move. He looks from Naomi to Jacob, his eyes wet and unsure. "Please," he says again, barely a whisper this time, "not tonight." But tonight has its own plans. Naomi wipes her eyes quickly, her voice sharper now, the calm turning cold. "If I was so controlling," she says, "why didn't you just leave? Why stay and poison what was left?" Jacob laughs under his breath, a humorless sound. "Because I hoped," he says. "I hoped the person I fell for was still there. But somewhere along the way, you turned into someone I couldn't recognize." Naomi blinks, her lips parting slightly. For a moment, she looks shattered, then she steadies herself and says quietly, "Maybe I did. Maybe you made me." Someone coughs from the corner. The room feels too small for so many people. Bill finally sets the cake down on the table. The flames on the candles flicker once more, then die out completely. The smell of smoke curls through the air. "Happy birthday to me," he murmurs, half to himself. Naomi hears it, guilt flashing across her face. "Bill, I'm sorry," she says. "This isn't—" But Bill just shakes his head. "It's fine," he says softly. "You two needed to say it." Jacob looks down at the floor. The anger that once fueled him has burned out, leaving only ashes of regret. "We didn't have to do this here," he mutters. Naomi's reply is instant. "No, Jacob. We had to do this somewhere." She looks around at the guests, most pretending to check their phones, pretending they're anywhere but here. "Maybe this is the only way we'd ever stop lying, even to ourselves." The tension begins to shift. The fight isn't fire anymore, it's smoke. Thick, heavy, but fading slowly. Jacob finally meets Naomi's eyes again. "I didn't mean to hurt you," he says. I just wanted to breathe. Naomi's voice drops to almost a whisper. And I just wanted to be seen. For a second, they look like two lost souls in the same storm, both soaked, both tired, both unsure how to reach the shore. Then the silence breaks again, not from words, but from something small and human. Bill lets out a shaky laugh, the kind that comes from someone who doesn't know whether to cry or smile. You two are unbelievable, he says, voice hoarse. You could turn a birthday into a battlefield. The guests laugh nervously, grateful for the release. Even Naomi lets out a small broken smile. Jacob sighs, rubbing his temples. I'm sorry, Bill, he says. Really? Bill waves it off. Just don't ruin the cake, he says, but his tone is softer now, forgiving. Naomi walks over to the table, picks up the lighter, and lights a single candle again. The small flame flickers to life, lonely but steady. Make a wish, she says quietly. Bill stares at the candle for a long moment. I already did, he answers, blowing it out gently. The room exhales with him. A collective breath that's been held too long, but peace doesn't come easy. As the lights brighten again and the music hesitantly starts, Naomi turns away from the crowd. Her reflection in the window looks tired, older. Jacob is across the room again, talking to no one, lost in thought. Between them lies the kind of silence that doesn't ask for more words. It just waits for time to decide what's left. Naomi picks up her coat. Bill catches her eye, silently asking her to stay, but she just smiles faintly and shakes her head. You deserve better birthdays, she says. Then she walks out the door, the soft click of it closing echoing louder than any argument. Jacob stands there for a while, unmoving. The noise of the party begins again behind him, laughter forced but welcome. He looks at the door, then at the candle's thin trail of smoke curling into the air. It looks like forgiveness, like something rising, fading, but not gone. Bill finally sits down, exhausted. Well, he says to no one in particular, at least the cake survived. A few people laugh. Jacob doesn't. He just stares at the spot where Naomi stood, as if words unsaid still hover there, waiting to be heard. The party goes on, but nothing feels the same. The laughter sounds like echoes, and every smile feels fragile. Outside, Naomi walks alone under the streetlight. The night is quiet now, but inside her the storm hasn't settled. She looks up at the sky, dark, endless, uncertain, and whispers, "Happy birthday, Bill," before disappearing into the night. The party ends quietly, like a storm that's already spent its rage. The guests leave one by one, whispering polite goodbyes that feel out of place in the heavy air. The laughter that once filled the room is gone, replaced by the sound of plates clinking softly in the kitchen and the faint hum of the refrigerator. The candles on the cake are long melted, their wax hardened into strange shapes, reminders of a celebration that tried and failed to be happy. Bill stands by the window, watching the last car pull away. The street outside glows faintly under the dull light of a flickering street lamp. He exhales slowly, shoulders sagging with the weight of the night. He didn't ask for this. Not the tension, not the truth, not the heartbreak, but part of him knows it was coming. You can't hold everything together forever. Sometimes cracks need to show. Sometimes they're the only way light gets in. Jacob stays behind, sitting on the couch with his elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. His expression isn't angry anymore, just lost. The words he threw earlier echo in his mind, each one sharper now that the anger is gone. You built walls and called them safety. He whispers the line under his breath, almost ashamed. He knows it wasn't fair. He knows she's gone because of more than one argument. Years of small silences, broken promises, and unspoken fears built this moment. And now it's all here, sitting heavy on his chest. Back at the house, Jacob stands at the door, looking out into the night. Bill has gone to bed, leaving the living room dim and still. Jacob stares at the street where Naomi disappeared hours ago. He wonders if she's home, if she's crying, or if she's found peace in the silence he left behind. His hand twitches toward his phone, but he doesn't pick it up. Some words need to rest before they're spoken again. He turns off the lights and sits back down. The house hums quietly, the sound of something ending, but not entirely gone. He thinks about what Naomi said. If love needs control to stay alive, it isn't love. The sentence stays with him, circling his mind until it finds a place to settle. Maybe she's right. Maybe love isn't about holding on tighter. Maybe it's about knowing when to let go. The screen of his phone lights up suddenly. A notification, not from Naomi, but from Bill. A simple text. Thanks for staying. Tomorrow's a new day. Jacob stares at it for a long moment, then finally smiles. It's small, but real. He types back, "Happy birthday, Bill," and sets the phone down. The night outside is still. Naomi looks up at the same sky from miles away. Jacob looks out the window. Two people under the same stars, carrying the same ache, walking separate roads that might one day meet again. Or maybe not. But for now, there's a strange kind of peace in that. The last line of the night belongs to the narrator's silence, a calm after the chaos. The candles have burned out, the cake is cold, but the truth lingers, soft and steady. Sometimes the end isn't an explosion. Sometimes it's just a quiet realization that love, no matter how it ends, always leaves a light behind.